It is the share that matters most to Russia. Hundreds of Western-built aircraft currently operate in Russian fleets without proper parts support or software updates. They are aging, being grounded, or cannibalized. In this context, the MC-21 is not a competitor to Airbus and Boeing. It is a replacement. The bottlenecks that still hold it back. The biggest challenge for the MC-21 is scale. Producing PD-14 engines in large numbers takes time. Composite supply chains are still maturing. Skilled labor is limited. Sanctions restrict access to precision tools and specialized software. Timelines have slipped repeatedly. Mass production was once expected in 2020, then 2022, then 2024. Current projections place meaningful production closer to 2025 or later. Reliability also remains an open question. New aircraft require years of operational data to build trust. Airlines need spare parts, trained technicians, and predictable maintenance cycles. Any weakness in that ecosystem could slow adoption. The airplane exists. Sustaining it is the harder mission. What the MC-21 really changes in aviation. The MC-21 will not overthrow Boeing or Airbus. It will not redefine global travel. It will not transform the skies overnight. What it changes is more subtle. It proves that a modern commercial aircraft can be built outside the traditional Western supply chain, even under extreme political and economic pressure. It shows that industrial sovereignty in aviation is difficult, expensive, and slow, but not impossible. That lesson matters far beyond Russia. China is watching. India is watching. Any country seeking strategic independence in aerospace is paying attention. The MC-21 is not a revolution, it is a precedent. And in an industry built on precedents, that may be its most lasting influence. It is cheaper, faster, and easier to scale, but historically less common for primary wing structures. To make it work, Russia developed domestic carbon fiber, resins, and production equipment from scratch. The result may not match Western composites in perfection, but it meets structural requirements and passes flight tests. More importantly, the technology now exists. It can be refined, optimized, and applied beyond aviation, from wind turbines to defense systems. This was not merely a workaround. It was an industrial gamble. The first real aircraft and the quiet delivery. In late 2024, the first serial production MC-21 rolled off the assembly line for Rossiya Airlines, part of the Aeroflot Group. It was not a prototype or a show model. It was a production aircraft built with domestic systems, engines, and materials. There were no grand ceremonies or international media tours, just a quiet acknowledgement that the airplane is real. Plans call for gradual production increases, targeting roughly 30 to 36 aircraft per year once supply chains stabilize. Compared to Boeing or Airbus, that is modest. Compared to where the program once stood under sanctions, it represents a significant recovery. Variants are already planned, including a larger MC-21-400 and potentially shorter versions to cover more market segments. The ambition is clear, even if execution remains uncertain. Why the MC-21 will never dominate the global market. Despite its achievements, the MC-21 is not intended for global dominance. Western certification bodies are unlikely to approve a Russian aircraft built under sanctions. Without EASA or FAA certification, leasing companies will not touch it. Major international airlines will not operate it. That door is effectively closed. The MC-21's market is domestic and regional. Russia, Belarus, parts of Central Asia, and possibly a few countries seeking non-Western alternatives. Should Airbus and Boeing be worried? Russia seems to think so with the launch of its brand-new passenger aircraft, the MC-21. Built by Irkut, the new twin-engine medium-range aircraft was unveiled during a glamorous ceremony. In an industry dominated for decades by Boeing and Airbus, one country managed quietly to complete a modern passenger jet while being cut off from Western engines, materials, software, and certification channels. According to every historical precedent, the program should have been stopped. And yet the MC-21 exists, and its very existence forces a reconsideration of who can still build a commercial aircraft. The airplane Russia was never supposed to finish. For decades, commercial aviation operated under an unwritten order. The United States and Europe led, everyone else followed. Engines came from Pratt & Whitney or CFM International. Carbon fiber came from Japanese suppliers like Toray. Certification passed either through the FAA or ESA and nowhere else. If a country wanted a modern passenger aircraft, it did not build it alone. It joined the system, and Russia was part of that system until it no longer was. The MC-21 began in the early 2000s as a conventional ambition, almost moderate by aviation standards. A new single-aisle jet to replace aging Soviet aircraft, a direct competitor to the Boeing 737 and Airbus A320. It was designed to be efficient, comfortable, and globally certified. Nothing about the project suggested confrontation. It was built to integrate, and then the ground shifted. Sanctions were quietly imposed in 2014, disrupting suppliers and slowing approvals. The program faltered but survived. After 2022, the pressure became absolute. Engines disappeared. Composite materials stopped arriving. Access to software was lost. Certification pathways closed. Entire subsystems became inaccessible overnight, not because of technical failure, but because of political decisions. In aviation, that is usually the end of the story. Programs should have ended. Instead, Russia launched one of the most aggressive industrial pivots in modern aerospace history. Entire supply chains were rebuilt domestically. New materials were developed. Production processes were redesigned. The MC-21 transformed from a globally integrated project into a fully sovereign one. That decision made production slower and certification more difficult, but it also made the aircraft independent in a way few modern jets are. The engine Russia had to build or abandon aviation. No component mattered more than the engine. For years, the MC-21 flew with Pratt & Whitney engines. They were efficient, proven, and globally supported. Losing them was not merely inconvenient, it was catastrophic. Russia's answer was the PD-14, a brand new turbofan developed by Aviadvigatel. It was neither a Soviet relic nor a licensed copy. It was a modern high-bypass engine designed to meet international performance standards under intense political and industrial pressure. Integrating the PD-14 was not a simple swap. The engine nacelle had to be redesigned. Mounts were re-engineered. Flight control systems were recertified. Years of testing followed. By 2023, MC-21 test aircraft had fully transitioned to PD-14 power. In 2024, the engine entered serial production. It may not be as fuel efficient as the latest Western turbofans, but it works, it flies, and Russia controls every step of its supply chain. For a sanctioned country, that control is everything. Composite wings and the industrial gamble. The wing is the MC-21's most technically ambitious feature. It uses a high aspect ratio composite design, longer and slimmer than most single-aisle wings. This reduces drag and improves efficiency, but makes manufacturing more demanding. Western manufacturers rely on massive autoclaves to cure such structures under heat and pressure. Russia no longer had access to that equipment. The solution was out-of-autoclave curing, using vacuum infusion and lower temperatures. Do not explode. They simply fade away, buried under delays, cost overruns, and parts shortages. The MC-21 was expected to join that graveyard. Instead, Russia made a choice most programs never make. It decided the aircraft would be completed, whatever needed to be rebuilt to make that possible. A single-aisle jet with uncomfortable ambitions. On paper, the MC-21 looks familiar. It is a twin-engine single-aisle aircraft designed to carry between 150 and just over 200 passengers, depending on configuration. Its mission profile aligns almost perfectly with the most profitable segment of commercial aviation. But the details explain why it was taken seriously. Its fuselage is wider than both the Airbus A320 and the Boeing 737, allowing wider seats, more comfortable aisles, and larger overhead bins. For passengers, that translates into real comfort, not marketing language. For airlines, it means faster boarding and fewer bottlenecks. The aircraft was also designed with long-range flexibility in mind, capable of routes extending deep into Russia, Central Asia, and parts of the Middle East. It was not a small regional jet. It was built to endure harsh climates, remote airports, and long distances where reliability matters more than branding. From the beginning, the MC-21 MC-21 was intended to stand alongside Western aircraft, not behind them. The sanctions shock that nearly killed the program. The original MC-21 configuration relied heavily on Western technology. Its composite wings used Japanese carbon fiber. The curing process depended on American autoclaves. Its engines came from Pratt & Whitney, specifically the PW1400G geared turbofan. When sanctions intensified, those dependencies became liabilities. Carbon fiber shipments stopped. Engine deliveries were halted. Software support vanished. Even basic machinery became difficult to obtain. For a commercial aircraft, this was an existential crisis. Without engines and wings, there is no airplane. This was the moment the program.
If you like it, pass the button of like and subscribe. Thanks.